Hello, and welcome to Routine in the Quarantine, and I'm your host, Adam Glass, otherwise known as Captain.ARG. That is my YouTube, as well as a Facebook page. Please like and subscribe if you want to hear more of these podcasts. So I have, in our last podcast, we talked about some interesting questions, and because I still don't have enough comments to go off of, I've decided to continue to use this website and read off some more weird questions for you, for your edification, because we are all stuck inside because of the Rona. It's out there and it's killing a bajillion people right now as we speak, but I want you to take your mind off of that horrific reality and just play with your dinosaurs, or whatever it is that you non-essential folk do, and relax as you listen to my sedative voice. God has gifted me with this amazing voice, and it can put people to sleep. So if you're trying to sleep, go for it. If not, just be relaxed. Hang up your hammock in your sunroom that everybody has. Everybody has a sunroom. Duh. So, anyways, I'm going. This, if you want to know what website it is, it's conversationstartersworld.com/funny-questions-2-to-ask. No, not to ask, but just ask. Yeah. Do that, and then you can look up all of these questions. There's about 70 of them, and you can answer them yourself if you'd like. I don't know why you'd want to. They also have games. They have Truth or Dare on here. They have Never Have I Ever, which I would love to play some kind of game. They also have dating questions, and I tried to do a little podcast segment where I answered the dating questions, the first date questions, but they're actually pretty boring. It's like going on a date with me, and I'm not that interesting. So I like to answer goofy questions instead, simply because it's more entertaining. In the research chair, we don't have anyone in the research chair, so it's just you and me. Bob the chicken is sick from the Rona, so we will not be consulting him right now. I might get him on a video call later, though. Okay. So yeah, in our last podcast we talked about is cereal soup, and I explained why it's not. We also talked about the most sexy name and the least sexy name. And we also spoke about my weird childhood fears. And I grew out of those childhood fears when I was about 13 or 14. That's when I started making friends. I met my good friend Michael. Shout out to Michael Wyndham. We've been friends for about 8 years now. He's my longest friend. The friend that I've known the longest. And he got me into a ton of movies. I don't know if you can see in the background, but I have a movie ticket wall right over there. I know you could definitely see it in my last podcast. And it's really good because I have a bajillion tickets over there. Okay, it's not a bajillion, because it's a considerably less amount than those who have died from the Rona. And that might sound insensitive, but it's honestly true. There's probably a good 30 to 50 tickets over there, if not on the wall, at least on the counter, that I haven't hung yet. I guess it's not hanged or hanged or hunged. I guess it's hung. But then again, I'm using a tack, so it's not really. It's hanging there by a tack, but it's not like I'm like tying a noose and hanging them old Western style. That would be weird. That would be kind of cool to hang tickets from your ceiling, like on string or something. I don't know. That sounds like a lot of work. I wouldn't want to do that, but I have a lot of tacks, so I use the tacks. Anyways, maybe I can go over a list of movies that I've seen. In fact, I will talk about that just a little bit. Before I get into the questions. Uh, when I was a kid, well, let's go back to when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, it's very fascinating. Um, when I was a kid, I couldn't sleep because I was so fearful of the tiny little men in my van who would try to kill me all the time. So, a way that I could get myself to quiet my mind and not think about the evil little masterminds, which, by the way, they had personalities, and I used to think of conversations that they would have. It was kind of like Pinky and the Brain. There was this really smart guy who was older, and he was like, I will kill him by using this new pathogen in this capsule. And then the assistant was like really dumb and stupid, and he would be like, how's that gonna work? And he's like, you stupid! Don't you realize it will go into the fan and then blow into his mouth, and he will swallow it, and then he will die. Mwahaha! And then I would be like, oh my gosh, I can't. It was like, honestly, it was kind of like a joke for me, and I knew it was in my imagination. But like, for some reason, it's kind of like Bloody Mary, you know? It's like, it's not real, but when you're dared to go in the bathroom by yourself and turn out the lights and say Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror, there's like that weird feeling you get that's like, what if it's true? You know? So like, that's why people don't really do it. It's like they know it's fake, but like they don't do it. So like, I would sit there in bed and think of these weird things, and then I was like, wow, wait a minute, I don't want to smile because, or not smile, I don't want to swallow, because what if it's true? So yeah, that's really like how I could explain like how I was afraid of it, because it wasn't like I was afraid. It's not like I actually thought there was 2 people in my fan who were like microscopic. Like, that's stupid. But I couldn't really swallow without doing a weird habit, because I was like, what if? So yeah. Anyways, I would take my mind off of it by watching movies. And these movies, I was like weird OCD, so like I had to watch the same movie over and over again, and it didn't like change very much. That's still a fear that I think I have, is fear of change. And I'm actually writing a horror anthology, which is based off of 12 or 10 to 12 different fears, and one of them is the fear of change. And I have one written, but I'll talk about that later. So I would watch this movie like over and over and over and over and over again for about a month, until I finally got tired of it. And if my TV got tired of it, I would stop watching it too, because I would think that there was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things to talk about. Good thing I'm starting a podcast. So this is so interesting. My TV, I thought, was alive as well. There's a spirit that bounces from electronic device to electronic device. He started in my TV when I was about 8 years old. I had this tube TV. It was like those old early 2000s TVs. It had a DVD player in it, so it was like right before the flat screen TVs were starting to get popular. And I would watch movies on that TV, and the DVD player had like this weird glitch in it where sometimes it would, right after I would close the tray, it would eject automatically and then close again or eject again, and it would just do it a random amount of times. Sometimes once or twice, just maybe even 3 times. It was weird, and it was almost like as if it was rejecting the movie I was trying to play. It was like, no, I don't want to watch that movie. It's like it had a personality. And so I gave it a name. I named it David. And then later, David broke, and I was so sad, because I was like, man, I kind of had this relationship with this TV and the DVD player. So I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? So it broke, and I got a new flat screen TV. It was like 22-inch. So it was actually kind of smaller than my normal TV, but it was HD and it was good. But it was sad because like I didn't have my possessed TV anymore. And then later I dropped my 3DS a few years later, and I cried because I got some dead pixels. And I don't know if you know anything about dead pixels, but dead pixels actually, they can't be fixed. You have to get a new 3DS, portable handheld gaming device. And I was like 15, and it was like the last time I cried in like years. And I was like, how did I cry at my 3DS? I was so confused. But nonetheless, I did. And I I had dead pixels. I was like, I can't believe this. So I played that thing so much, like every day, all day, every trip. I took it everywhere. So yeah, I had these dead pixels, and actually it was like one of the first electronic devices that I like had saved up, and it was so freaking expensive, like $300 to $350 for that little thing, and I couldn't believe that it had broken, because like it was the first thing that I had saved up and bought with my own money, so it was crazy. I had saved up my allowance for that. Yeah, so lots of allowance money, mowing lawns and stuff. But yeah, it healed. It actually fixed itself over the course of a couple of weeks. The amount of dead pixels got smaller and smaller and smaller until it just completely disappeared. And I was just like, I looked it up. I was like, that just doesn't happen. Like, how does it heal unless it's alive? So I was like, oh, David must be in my 3DS. Oh well, that's great. That's good. So I was happy about that. A few years later, I saw this Facebook post, and it said, "Hey, type in this, like, type in the at symbol, and then a few different digits and letters, and then type in the last four digits of your phone number, and you'll see what your phone's name is." And I was like, "Okay, let's see if this works." So I commented it, and it worked. It actually popped up a name. It was David Wachowski or something like that. It was actually a little bit harder to pronounce than that. It was like Witakowski or something weird. Like I just say Wachowski. But I was like, wait a minute. I changed my phone's name to David, and it didn't occur to me until like a year later. I was like, wait a minute, David. That's what I named my TV. That's the name of the spirit that hops from thing to thing. And then later, my car's blinker started going out, and then it healed before I had to get it taken a look at. It actually worked again, just slowly, progressively got better and better until the blinker started working again. I was like, David must be in my car. It was so weird. I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, I don't know where David is now. He could be in my phone. I haven't had. David's definitely not in my car because the blinker went out and I had to get it fixed recently. So he didn't fix it there, but yeah, weird stuff. Anyways, this relationship that I had with this DVD player TV, I would watch so many different movies, and I would collaborate with David on what movies to watch. But like, I would only, we would watch them like a month at a time, and occasionally I'd ask David if he wanted to watch that movie, and I would see if I'd be like, hey David, do you want to watch this still? And he wouldn't eject, so I was like, okay, let's watch it. So, anyways, I would watch movies like the original Atlantis, Kronk's New Groove, Dudley Do Right, Master of Disguise was one. I need to make a list of these movies that I've seen. Galaxy Quest. There's a lot of movies. So I need to make a list of these movies and like rewatch them. They are my childhood because I would watch the same movie for a month or two, and then change movies, and then watch that movie for a month or two every night, going to sleep to these movies. So I practically memorized them. It was incredible. So, yeah, there's a lot of those movies that I could recommend. I'm gonna try to make a list of those, and maybe even do movie reviews for them. I definitely would recommend, if you're stuck inside because of the Rona, then after you watch this podcast, try watching Galaxy Quest. I believe it is on Netflix. But Galaxy Quest is one of those highly underrated gems that nobody really talks about, but it is beautiful. It stars Tim Allen, the guy who plays Severus Snape, Alan Rickman, the guy who plays Monk. What is his name? It's got Sigourney Weaver. It's got. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Cast Galaxy, because I really, really suck at remembering actors' names. I'm really terrible at it. So it kind of sucks. But here we go. It's got Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Tony Shalhoub, that's his name, Sam Rockwell. It's it's a stellar cast, and it's a wonderful comedy, um, and it's actually got a good writing, good plot. It's got some heart. It's genuinely funny. It's one of those just underrated gems that, and it's great. It's sci-fi, makes fun of Star Wars, and but it doesn't just make fun of Star Trek. It actually is a love letter to it, and a love letter to the fans of Star Trek. It actually gets down. This was like right at the beginning of like the Comic Con. It was back when Comic Con wasn't really popular, but it actually like predicted what Comic Con would end up being like and how popular it could be, and like fandoms and whatnot. And it's just a beautiful movie. You should definitely watch it. It's a wonderfully made movie. Um, so yeah, um, I've talked enough probably about that. Now, I'm actually gonna crack into these Bertie Butts every flavor beans. I found them. Actually, my brother-in-law found them in a drawer somewhere. So I'm actually gonna answer these questions while I eat some of these, if I can even figure out how to get it open. I really am hungry, so I really can't wait to dive into these. What movies did you grow up with as a kid? I would love to hear. Do you have any movies that you've like memorized line from line? Is there a movie that's like so horrifically awful that it just genuinely sucks, but you love because you watched it growing up? Like, I know that there's several movies like that for me. Let's read off the flavors here. Banana. Oh yes, my banana mic. I don't know if you watched to the end of my last podcast, but my banana mic is dead, so I had to replace it with this not as good water bottle mic. I promise I am going to order a new banana mic. It'll probably come in the mail because I can't get out of the house. My family is completely paranoid. So, anyways, we have bananas, black pepper, blueberry, booger, candy floss. I don't know what candy floss is. I don't know how that's a flavor, but it's fine. Cherry, cinnamon, dirt, earthworm, earwax, grass, green apple, marshmallow, rotten egg, sausage, lemon, soap, tutti frutti, vomit, and watermelon. Just your everyday jelly beans. Like I said, these jelly beans are about like 4 years old. Never been opened. It's probably going to give me like the runs later, but it's fine. I don't know what flavor that was. Probably cherry. That wasn't bad. That one's definitely black pepper. I can tell. Okay. Or cinnamon. In 40 years, what will people be nostalgic for? So, probably Fortnite dances, maybe. That'll probably be a definite staple of this generation. There's a lot of cringy things out there. Goodness, I really. There isn't really much to be much worth being nostalgic for here in this generation. Most of everything that I can think of is pretty cancerous. Maybe memes. If the total collapse of society occurs because of the Rona, then I bet you memes will be nostalgic. But also, the big thing, I think, is that we're in the golden age of memes right now, I believe. Or we're headed there. This year is a wonderful year for memes. Even though, or 2019 was a great year for memes, and as well as 2020, like, this year absolutely sucks. But the memes are gold. Like, absolute gold. So, that being said, memes if there's a golden age, that it always goes downhill eventually. So I guarantee you, eventually memes won't be a thing anymore. Maybe it might spawn something else that could be just as great or even better, but I bet you memes will be something that people will be nostalgic for. Now this looks like vomit, but you can't really go by the looks. I'm pretty sure that was vomit. These beans are so old that they probably have lost their flavor. And that one is lemon. Okay. Moving on. If animals could talk, which would be the rudest? That is a really good question. It'd probably be a small animal. And, wow, these beans are really old. And whatever flavor this is, it's really gross. I think it's sausage. I don't like it. Nope, it's definitely sausage, and I don't like that at all. Ugh. Who in their right mind would ever make a sausage jelly bean? That's disgusting. Why am I still eating these? This is a bad one too. I don't even know what that was. Probably vomit again. Okay. I'm trying to think of what a rude animal is. A rude animal, like cats, I think would be really rude. Pretty much every cat. There are some nice cats. I'm not really a cat person. Oh, I know. My nephew's hedgehog. Complete rude. Buttface McGee. He is the meanest thing you'll ever meet. And he's just terrible. He hisses every time you try to get close to him. He's prickly, and he likes that, because nobody can really pick him up nicely. And it just sucks. He just sucks. He sucks. I've asked him before, and I'll have him on the show at some point, and I'll ask him, and we'll see about that. But he'll tell you that he's just complete. He's a complete butt face, and he is the absolute worst. So he'd probably be the rudest animal out there. Yeah. So, what is the most embarrassing thing you have ever worn? Well, see, it's really hard for me to get embarrassed. I've worn a lot of costumes in public. I've even worn a cape and a shirt, like a Batman shirt, and Heelys, and Heeley'd around Walmart before. And that was kind of recent too. So, yeah, that's a thing. I've done that before. It's really hard this looks like vomit. No, that's rotten egg. That's even worse than sausage. Good lord. I really don't like that. Who would make these? Okay. I've worn Halloween costumes in public. But nothing horribly embarrassing that I can think of. But one time, yes, one time I did a milk fight with my friend Michael that I mentioned earlier. And we went to Walmart. We did a live stream, and we got some milk, and we bought some onesies. Like, I got an eagle onesie, and Michael got a dragon onesie, and we got milk, and we poured milk on each other. Like, we had a milk fight with the jugs, and to see who could soak the other the most, and it was a lot of fun. And I did that in the parking lot of, I think it was Ross. Yeah. So we moved from the Walmart parking lot to like the Ross parking lot, and we had a milk fight, and it was pretty fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go ahead and stop there and conclude this conversation right there. And I'm gonna eat one more bean, and then we're gonna move to our guest. This one's green, could be grass. It's not too bad, actually. If grass tasted like that, I'd probably eat grass all the time. But I know it doesn't. So, moving on. Thank you. Actually, I guess I have to do it. We'll be right back. Thank you for watching. Hello, and welcome back to the routine in the quarantine. I'm your host, Adam Glass, and I am joined here today by Eric Glass.
Hello.
Hello. Please tell the audience a little bit about yourself before we really get started.
Well, my name is Eric Glass,
Mm-hmm.
and I am kind of basic. I just do stuff. That's pretty much it.
He does stuff, ladies and gentlemen. That's awesome. What kind of stuff do you do?
I like to beat up people.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that regularly,
Mm-hmm.
except they kind of beat up on me.
Okay. So
But I like to say I beat up people.
gotcha.
You know,
But they actually beat you.
they actually beat me up.
Understood.
Don't tell anyone.
Cool. Okay. So Eric is my brother, and he sent me an article today about the the international airport in Denver.
Yes, it's the Denver International Airport.
Okay.
I heard this the other day, and I was like, this is crazy.
Right. I actually saw a video. I saw this exact article this morning when I first woke up,
Really?
and I took a look at it. And then when you sent it to me, I was like, wow, that would be something really cool to talk about on my show. So we have about 10 minutes to talk about this. So
Then
let's.
we spar.
Yeah, and then yeah, exactly. So apparently there's a lot of wild conspiracy theories about the doomsday bunkers and Illuminati and whatnot at the Denver International Airport. It's insane. This article is by travelandleisure.com/airlines-airport/Denver-international-airport-conspiracy-theories. Huh?
Those are hyphens, I think.
You can just figure it out. And then, so yeah, so what does this mean? Like, what do you know about it?
I don't know. I just heard it on a podcast that they just mentioned whenever they were talking about. Is this going on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I can't say it because you might get demonetized.
Oh, please don't.
Okay.
I get so much money from this.
The thing that's going on nowadays.
What, the Rona?
Yeah, the Rona.
Right. So
Yeah.
the Rona is causing lots of problems, but with the airports in general, I'm sure. But the thing is that it's not has anything to do
this
with
has nothing to do with that.
the
They just
Rona.
mentioned it.
Okay, gotcha.
It might. I don't know.
You think the Illuminati is involved in the Rona?
I don't know. But they were talking about how a statue. I've heard it has blue eyes. I've heard it has red eyes.
It has red eyes. According to this article, it has red eyes. I saw a
Red
picture.
I thought I
There was a
looked
picture.
up a picture. And
It was I don't know. I don't see the picture now, but we don't have
it has-
overlays
it
because
has-
this is low
it
budget.
Has eyes
It has eyes. Yes.
that are colorful.
Yeah. So let me get into it just a little bit. So apparently there's several things. So number one, the architecture is really grand and eccentric. Apparently it cost way more money than to build than it was projected to, because some people believe that they built bunkers to survive the apocalypse under it. They believe that the secret headquarters of the Illuminati was built under it in the
I
tunnels.
don't know if this article talks about it, but the person that mentioned it in the podcast, he mentioned that there's this whole cult following, and they believe there's these lizard people that survived since the dinosaur age, and they're smart lizard people, and they live under the Denver airport.
That's fascinating. I'm not gonna lie. Like, wow. I would love to see. Do they do tours? Can you go down into the tunnels?
I'm not sure, but
I want to go
they
there.
probably do.
You know, I heard that the CEO or whoever owns the place, they like play into the rumors and the conspiracy theories, and they actually like market off of it, which is a wonderful idea. Like, they don't really believe it; they kind of make fun of it.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh yeah, this is so mysterious," but like, you know, it's supposedly like there's links to like Nazism and like the Illuminati and the Freemasons and but yeah, I mean, like, it looks really weird. Like, it looks like some kind of circus tent from the distance. Like, it's kind of freaky, weird crap. Apparently, there's like weird symbols on certain buildings, and that the apparently actually there's a statue of some kind that says that it was built by something called like the New World Order construction airports or something like that. I'm trying to read what it says exactly. It says something about, it's not Mental Floss. Mental Floss is a website. Right here, there's a dedication marker that credits an organization called the New World Airport Commission for building it. Okay, that doesn't actually exist.
The New World Airport Commission.
That doesn't actually exist. So why in the world would they have a dedication to that? I don't know. It's really weird. Don't really understand it, but that's fine. Anyways, also there's a giant blue horse sculpture that has red eyes or blue eyes. And because why not? Yeah. Apparently the artist died because a piece of it fell on him and severed an artery in his leg.
Sorry.
So
that
like,
was mean.
yeah. So they think it's like got some kind of weird curse on it
Okay.
because it killed the artist. I guess they finished it anyway, and they put it up there. It's supposed to like. Apparently the eyes are supposed to represent the wild spirit within the West.
So
Okay.
red.
I guess I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, really weird stuff. Also, there's like weird murals that like depict really like fascist or like Naziistic looking images. There's this one mural.
Soviet guy with a rainbow and
he's got like an AK-47 with a bayonet and a scimitar, and there's like a bunch of like refugees.
Or there's someone crying.
I think it's like a bunch of refugees on a rainbow road.
Huh.
Of some kind. You see the rainbow weirdness?
Yeah.
I really don't know. Is that a dove? I think that's a dove.
That is a dove. On the sword of it.
So, you have this like green Mario with an AK-47. He even has a Mario hat on. Like, does that say M?
No,
It looks like Mario.
It looks like some type of.
Looks like Nazi Mario, to me.
Nah.
No?
I'm getting an Aladdin vibe kind of.
Oh, okay. So you're getting more of an Aladdin. It's just a scimitar and the destroyed. There's also destroyed buildings. It's really weird. Look it up. There is an article by travelandleisure.com. Doomsday Bunkers, Illuminati, and the Apocalypse. 5 wild conspiracy theories about Denver International Airport. It comes with a video too, but not nearly as interesting as the actual article. Cool. So, I actually tried to do an interview with my brother-in-law, Larry, where we ate all the every flavor beans, and it was really funny. But the audio didn't record. Yeah. So yeah. So I was gonna interview you next anyway. So I decided to go ahead and do this interview now. So yeah. So I know that you do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we talked a little bit about the Denver International Airport. Have you ever been out that far west?
No, I have not.
You haven't?
This is the only. Okay, how far have I been?
You went to Las Vegas once.
Yes. I went to Las Vegas when I was
I was like, what, 6 months old?
I think you were like 6 months to 1 year old.
Okay. So you were more like 8.
Okay, I was.
Because you're like 8 years older than me.
I remember the Hoover Dam.
Oh, okay.
Flying over it. We
That's
didn't
cool.
actually go to it, but
What?
flew over.
Well, damn.
You can't curse
I didn't.
on YouTube.
I'm talking about it's a dam. That's a dam. Shame. Okay, but that's pretty cool. So, do you remember any rides? Like, did you go on a ride or something?
I remember a bus ride.
Oh,
And a Star Trek experience. That was kind of like you went into this room and it was kind of a shuttle ride. Except
okay.
it had a flat screen and played a movie
Oh,
type thing, and it was in the hotel, in the I forget what hotel it was, but it was a shuttle ride. You know, it just stayed stationary. It wasn't actually a roller coaster.
but did it move around?
Yeah,
And it like
it
made
moved,
you feel
made
like
you feel like you were flying in
gotcha.
space and everything.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, it scared me.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Universal Studios a few weeks ago, and they did a Transformers ride that was very similar, except they gave you 3D glasses, and they had this huge building that was dedicated to the ride, and you actually did kind of move around a little bit. There was no big drops, but it did kind of make you feel like there were big drops. You know, you're supposed to be in a car. There's this one part where Starscream like attaches a cable to you and like flies through the city, and you're like flying behind him, and he tows you through a building. And you come out the other side. It was really cool. And then like there were parts where we like went almost upside down, like facing down, and it felt like we were flying through the air, doing the G forces. And they like Megatron like busted a water pipe or something, and they sprayed water on us, and he shot a missile at us, and they like blew hot air and stuff. It was really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was
I don't
really
think
cool.
it was as intense as that.
Oh, it was really intense, and I was like freaking out the whole time. There was one part where this big transformer thing like sucked you into its razor mouth,
Yeah.
tried to eat you, and you like go through it, and you like fight your way through it, and it sucks. After it sucks you in, it was horrifying. I screamed. It was great.
That's cool.
They also had some Harry Potter rides that were very similar, but the 3D aspect was really cool. Not gonna lie.
That's really cool.
Yeah, they had really big TV screens that you would kind of ride by, and at the very end you like kill Megatron, and Megatron is like you actually go through a section where Megatron is like coming through the ceiling.
Okay.
Really fun stuff. Really
That's
fun stuff.
awesome.
So yeah, that's really cool, man. So is there anything that you wanna say to the thousands of
The
viewers
thousands of
Yes.
viewers.
that are listening or listeners, okay, that are listening to this
Depending
podcast?
on when they watch this video.
Right.
Stay home. Or get out and do something.
Mm.
Depends on what time,
Well, right.
whenever this whole thing is over.
Got you. Okay.
Whenever this whole thing is over, get out and do something.
So, as I said in my last podcast, this whole thing will end. We'll either be in heaven, hell, or floating through the
Cosmos.
cosmos of nothingness, or
Cosmos.
of nothingness.
Okay, no.
Wow. Okay.
Bloodborne reference.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I'll interview you again, and we can talk of video games in that interview. Okay. But this time around, otherwise we'll live and survive, and we'll go back to our underwater basket weaving degrees in no time. Or you may be retired with a ranch. You can go back. Well, you're probably already there. If you're retired and you have a ranch, you're probably there, and you're doing that right now.
Oh,
You're not.
You.
Yes, I'm talking to the listeners.
Okay.
Her, Z.
Okay. Them.
That's right. That's better. Okay, thank you so much. I really no. You have the Rona, so weenus touch.
Have the Rona.
Yeah,
I
so
don't have the Rona. Don't
make
spread
sure
those rumors.
make sure you don't spread the Rona, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll be right back. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the routine in the quarantine. I'm your host, Adam Glass, also known as Captain.ARG. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the notifications bell button. Otherwise, you won't know when I post another podcast. That being said, I just want to appreciate you as the viewer for watching, and it could possibly take me a really long time to get any regular followers. So if you're watching this, you're probably my friend, or maybe you're coming back and I'm already super famous and I have thousands of viewers. Um, and you're just coming back to watch the first episodes. And if that's the case, then haha, look, I'm so young, I don't have overlays and I don't have all the cool stuff. But haha, yay, it's like, oh, it's so old. So, yeah, yay, you got that kick. So, why are you still here? Get out of here. Go watch my latest episode where we jump out of an airplane. That's a cool episode. You should watch that one. Even if you've watched it before, you should watch it now. That's all for you future folks who are watching this years from now. So yeah, my sister ordered another set of Harry Potter every flavor beans. So we'll be getting those, and when I get those, I'm going to have another interview with my brother-in-law where the audio does not cut out. And we'll be able to see that because it was really funny, and he's a really funny guy. We did the whole interview in really bad British accents, so you get to see that when it's done. I want to leave you all with a little bit of an encouraging note, because I don't really want you to think about the thousands of people that are on ventilators right now and the thousands of families that are losing a loved one at this moment. I want you to think about rainbows and unicorns and happiness and sunshine and walks and flowers and pretty stuff. So, yeah, just keep your head up, stay inside, don't spread the Rona. Remember the weenus touch. If you don't know what a weenus is, it is the skin on your elbow. That is weenus. Okay? So, no longer shall we call it the elbow bump. We will call it now the weenus touch. And I hope that you take that with you everywhere you go. I will be posting another podcast prayerfully tomorrow. It is the weekend, so I don't plan on taking the weekend off. I might take like Mondays through Wednesday off, just so that I can figure out what content I'm going to make. And I want to talk a little bit more about my childhood and my past and some crazy stories. I'm going to try to come up with some crazy stories to tell y'all. Please comment on my content and just ask me silly questions or things about myself or things you want me to talk about, any topics, ideas, games you want me to play over the podcast as far as like things I can talk about. If you have any ideas on how I can improve my podcast, I'd love to hear those ideas or read them. And just make sure that you keep it clean. I want this podcast to be for all ages, for everybody. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and remember, the sun is always shining behind the clouds. It's even shining at night. You just can't see it. It's on the other side of the planet. Technically, you're on the other side of the planet. The sun kind of stays where it is and the planet moves. So, but the sun moves too. It's not completely stationary. We're kind of all moving with it. The whole universe is expanding and decaying into an eventual collapse where everything will eventually deteriorate into smaller pieces and life will cease to exist as physics breaks down and the void consumes all. Thank you again for watching or listening. This is your host, Adam Glass, and you've been watching The Routine in the Quarantine. See you tomorrow. Bye.